A quiet Saturday afternoon unfolds in a modest suburban home, where sunlight filters gently through lace curtains and falls across a tidy kitchen table. A white mom sits there, laptop open, fingers poised above the keyboard, ready to craft her black daughter's college essay. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee lingers in the air, and the faint hum of the dishwasher in the background provides a comforting soundtrack to her focused task. She rereads the essay prompt once again. The words describe a personal struggle and how you overcame it scrolling on her computer screen. Drawing from her own life, she begins to type about volunteering at a soup kitchen last winter, organizing a neighborhood charity drive during the holidays, and late-night conversations with friends about balancing work and family. Each sentence she writes is earnest, reflecting the challenges she believes shaped her character. Staying up late to juggle 3 part-time jobs, consoling a neighbor whose house burned down, and rallying coworkers to support a coworker's medical bills. Meanwhile, her daughter stands in the doorway with a slightly furrowed brow, arms crossed over her chest. Wearing an oversized hoodie and faded jeans, she watches her mother's every keystroke, feeling a mixture of love, admiration, and mounting frustration. To her, these well-intentioned anecdotes miss something crucial: the weight of navigating hallways where teachers mispronounce her name, the sting of classmates who compliment her hair in ways that feel more like exotification than praise, and the exhaustion of constantly reminding people that she belongs in spaces where she is too often the only black student. The mom's examples, though heartfelt, feel distant from the subtle indignities that have marked her daughter's everyday life. As the mom types another paragraph about organizing a charity fundraiser, the daughter's mind drifts to a recent incident at school. Just last week, a science teacher assumed she needed help with a lab assignment solely because of her skin tone. She spent 20 minutes explaining that she had made first honors in chemistry the previous semester. She thinks about the half-hearted apologies, the way people's eyes dart when they talk to her mother and then linger judgmentally on her own face. These memories swirl in her mind, sharpening her sense of being misunderstood. Unable to bear the disconnect any longer, she steps forward into the kitchen, her voice steady but laced with quiet pain. "You don't understand my struggles." Her words hang in the warm, sunlit room, echoing off the ceramic tiles and wooden cabinets. The mom's fingers freeze above the keyboard, and she blinks in surprise. She hadn't expected such a direct statement. She looks up, meeting her daughter's gaze, and in that moment she realizes that her good intentions have collided with a reality she may not fully comprehend. The daughter's chest tightens as she watches her mother's expression shift from concentration to concern. She fights back tears, not wanting to cry in front of her mom, but the lump in her throat makes it hard to speak. The mom closes the laptop softly, the clicking of keys replaced by the rhythmic ticking of a wall clock. For a moment, silence settles between them, weighed down by unspoken thoughts and unacknowledged experiences. In that quiet pause, the mom feels a pang of guilt. She thinks about her own life, the privileges she's enjoyed, and the moments she's taken for granted. She realizes that no matter how much she loves her daughter, no essay ideas drawn from her own journey can capture the subtle, continual struggles her daughter endures simply because of the color of her skin. As the daughter stands there, shoulders tense and eyes glistening with unshed tears, the mom knows she must listen harder, learn more, and truly understand before she can write another word that does justice to her daughter's truth. The daughter retreats to her bedroom, closing the door quietly behind her. The soft click of the latch echoes down the hallway, and her mom watches the door close before returning her gaze to the laptop, though her fingers no longer move. The room feels heavy with unspoken tension. The mom sits back in her chair, folding her hands in her lap, and lets out a slow breath. She is suddenly aware of the distance between her intentions and her daughter's reality. Earlier that day, her daughter came home upset, tears staining her cheeks after a classmate made a cruel joke about her skin. But the mom, busy with work deadlines and household responsibilities, thought she had comforted her daughter with a quick hug and a few words of encouragement. Now she realizes that was not enough. As the mom stares at the blank document on the laptop screen, memories flood her mind. The time her daughter once returned from school, shoulders hunched, and confided that a teacher asked if she was sure she belonged in advanced placement classes. The mom nodded casually, assuming it was a one-time oversight. She thinks too about the school play auditions, where her daughter was told she might be more suited for a smaller role because the director couldn't envision her as the lead. The mom recalls promising to talk to the principal but then forgetting. Each memory weighs on her, and guilt settles in her chest. She closes the laptop. She stands and walks down the hallway, listening to the muffled sounds of her daughter's soft sniffles behind the closed bedroom door. She remembers her own college days, staying up late writing papers, juggling part-time jobs, and feeling anxious about the future. Those experiences shaped who she is, but she realizes they cannot compare to the daily burden her daughter carries. She has never been followed by a store clerk when shopping, never been hesitated over for a group project because someone assumed she was less capable. She has never felt her name mispronounced again and again, as if it were a foreign sound, or had someone clutch their purse a little tighter when she walked by. She has never had her achievements questioned simply because of skin color. These thoughts drive her toward a single, clear resolve. She must truly hear her daughter's experiences. With determination, she knocks lightly on the door. "May I come in?" she asks quietly. There is a pause before a muffled yes comes from inside. She opens the door and finds her daughter sitting on the edge of her bed, head bowed, eyes red. The mom sits beside her and says, voice gentle but firm, "I want to understand. Tell me everything I missed today." The daughter hesitates, glances at her mother, then exhales as though releasing a heavy weight. She begins to recount the science teacher's comment, how it felt like a punch in the gut, and how embarrassed she was to have to prove her grades all over again. She shares stories of people crossing the street when she walked by, whispers in the cafeteria about her hair, and times she felt she had to work twice as hard just to be seen as equal. The mom listens without interrupting, nodding occasionally, though her heart aches with each new detail. She feels a mix of shame and empathy, recognizing that she underestimated the weight of her daughter's daily life. When her daughter finishes, there is silence, thick but not empty. The mom reaches out and takes her daughter's hand, offering warmth and solidarity. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I really am. I didn't know how much you carried every day." For the first time, the daughter allows herself to lean into her mother's embrace, tears slipping down her cheeks. The mom holds her tight, vowing silently to learn more, listen more, and stand by her side in ways she hadn't before. In that quiet moment, a fragile bridge begins to form between their worlds, built from honesty, vulnerability, and a promise to truly understand each other. That evening, the kitchen lights cast a warm glow over the small wooden table where mother and daughter sit facing each other. Plates of rice and vegetables sit half-eaten in front of them, but neither has touched much of their food. The mother clears her throat softly, setting aside her spoon, and says in a gentle voice, "Tell me more about what happened at school today." Her daughter hesitates, glancing at her mother's earnest face, then exhales deeply and begins to speak. She describes how, during history class, her teacher asked her to explain a concept aloud and then followed up by saying, "I'm surprised you know that," as if surprised that a black student could be familiar with the material. The daughter's cheeks flush as she recalls how classmates giggled awkwardly, unsure if they should laugh or remain silent. She recounts another incident in the hallway. A group of students whispered about her hair, calling it too wild for a professional look, even though it was neatly braided. She remembers the sting of seeing their eyes flicker with judgment as she passed by. The mother listens intently, her chest tightening with each new detail. She remembers her own school days, where being underestimated felt frustrating, but stemmed from different challenges, like balancing sports and academics or dealing with a demanding teacher. Those struggles were real to her, but she now realizes they pale compared to the constant pressure her daughter faces simply by existing in certain spaces. She watches her daughter's hands clench around her napkin, her knuckles turning white, and understands that these memories weigh heavily on her. In between bites of food, the daughter explains how group projects often leave her sidelined. "They assume I won't know the answers," she says softly, not meeting her mother's eyes. so they keep me on data entry or let me copy their notes instead of including me in brainstorming. She pauses, and her mother reaches across the table, gently placing a hand on her daughter's forearm. "I'm listening," the mother murmurs, squeezing her arm in solidarity. The daughter nods and continues, recounting how during parent-teacher conferences, a teacher once asked her mother if she helped her daughter with homework, implying that her daughter couldn't manage on her own. The mother's stomach twists at the memory, shame flooding her senses. When the daughter finishes, she looks up, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. The mother leans forward, her voice soft and steady. "I'm so sorry this is how you feel every day. I didn't realize how often these things happened or how hurtful they were." She pauses, searching her daughter's face for signs of trust. The daughter takes a trembling breath and says, "I just want people to see me for who I am, not for the color of my skin." Her voice cracks with vulnerability. The mother's eyes well up as she replies, "You deserve that always. I promise to stand with you and to make sure your voice is heard." Silence settles over the table. But it is no longer heavy. It carries the warmth of understanding. The mother gently squeezes her daughter's hand and adds, "Thank you for sharing this with me. I want to learn more and help you navigate these moments." The daughter nods, the tension in her shoulders easing slightly. As they sit side by side, a quiet determination takes root in both of them. The mother will educate herself about the nuances of her daughter's experiences, and the daughter will trust that her mother is truly listening. In that moment, the kitchen becomes more than just a place for dinner. It becomes a space of connection and empathy where the mother and daughter begin to bridge the gap between their worlds. Through honest conversation and genuine care, they take the first steps toward a deeper understanding, one that will shape the way they write the essay, but more importantly, the way they relate to each other in the days to come. Over the next few days, the mother immerses herself in researching her daughter's experiences. She scrolls through articles about microaggressions and systemic bias, watching videos of Black women sharing their stories and reflections on what it feels like to navigate predominantly white spaces. Late at night, after her daughter has fallen asleep, the mother reads online forums where college students discuss writing about identity and racial struggles in their personal statements. She bookmarks posts where students describe the weight of having to explain themselves, the exhaustion of constantly guarding their voices, and the triumph that comes from finally being understood. She realizes that empathy isn't a one-time effort, but an ongoing commitment to listen, learn, and advocate. In between her research, the mother drafts a second version of the essay. This time, she decides to include her daughter's own words, letting the daughter's voice guide the narrative. She types a sentence about the time her daughter returned home crying because a teacher insisted she didn't fit the role of leading the school play. Then she pauses, opening a document where her daughter has written details about how that conversation made her feel invisible. The mother copies the daughter's phrasing exactly, letting the authentic emotion shine through. She includes an anecdote about how her daughter noticed classmates staring at her hair as if it were a spectacle, and how she pressed her palms together to hide the shaking as she walked down the hallway. While revising, the mother remembers to add a line mid-essay, quietly hopeful that viewers might relate. If you're enjoying this journey, don't forget to subscribe for more real stories like ours. She writes it not to interrupt the emotional flow, but to offer a gentle invitation to anyone who cares about honest family conversations. She rereads the draft, noticing how the tone has shifted. The essay is no longer a list of her own accomplishments, but a shared story. Layers of history, personal pain, resilience, and hope. One afternoon, the mother attends a virtual webinar about writing personal statements for first-generation students of color. She takes notes as a panelist describes how to balance vulnerability with confidence and how to frame struggles not as deficits, but as sources of strength. She thinks about her daughter's grandmother, whose stories of perseverance in the face of discrimination could add historical context. She jots down ideas about weaving in her grandmother's lessons on embracing identity and demanding respect. The mother reaches out to her daughter's grandmother over the phone, asking for specific memories, how she felt attending local protests, what it was like to face closed doors in her youth. The grandmother's voice trembles with emotion as she recounts walking miles to pick it peacefully, and the mother types her words verbatim. As the mother refines the essay, she feels a growing sense of connection with her daughter. She remembers the daughter's early smile, how she lit up when speaking about her favorite book, and how her pride in her heritage shines through her art projects. She adds a paragraph describing that pride, how it emerged not despite challenges but because of them. The mother includes her own pledge near the end. I will continue to stand by my daughter as she redefines success on her own terms. At night, the mother closes her laptop and feels a quiet satisfaction. The essay draft now captures layers of perspective: the daughter's heart, the grandmother's history, and the mother's promise to learn and support. She knows there is still more to do, more conversations, more listening, more understanding. But for the first time, she feels that the essay truly reflects her daughter's truth. The next morning, she sends the draft to her daughter with a note: "Read this when you're ready." I try to write what you've lived. As the daughter begins to read, the mother takes a deep breath, hopeful that this version finally honors her daughter's voice and the journey they are on together. The following Monday morning, the mother wakes early and decides to accompany her daughter to the school assembly. They both climb into the car in the soft, cool light of dawn. As they drive through quiet streets, the daughter sits in the passenger seat, headphones draped around her neck, and stares out the window. The mother glances at her, feeling a mixture of pride and nervousness. She wonders if going to the assembly will truly help her understand what her daughter faces every day. Upon arriving at the school, they join other parents in the auditorium, settling onto folding chairs arranged in neat rows. The stage is set with a large banner reading "Celebrating Diversity and Inclusion." The principal steps up to the microphone, his voice projecting through the speakers. "Today we honor the unique backgrounds and experiences each student brings to our community. Let us continue to learn from one another and build a more inclusive environment." A polite round of applause echoes through the room, but from where the mother sits, she notices a subtle undercurrent. Some students exchange glances, their smiles polite but lacking genuine warmth. The mother's heart tightens as she realizes that these words, while important, have yet to translate into meaningful change in the hallways her daughter navigates daily. After the principal finishes, a teacher invites a student to share a poem about unity. The student's voice trembles slightly as she speaks of empathy, respect, and the importance of listening. The mother feels moved by the words, but she watches her daughter shift in her seat, crossing and uncrossing her arms. The daughter's eyes are locked on the stage, and though she nods in agreement with the poem's message, the mother senses an unspoken distance between the ideal of unity and the daughter's lived reality. As the ceremony ends, the mother and daughter rise and walk through crowded corridors toward the car. They pass clusters of students, some of whom greet the daughter warmly, while others offer quick, awkward nods before turning away. The mother overhears hushed comments. "She's cool for a girl like that," one student whispers to his friend. The mother's stomach tightens with discomfort. For a girl like that reduces her daughter to a stereotype rather than recognizing her talents, intellect, and kindness. She reaches out and lightly touches her daughter's elbow. The daughter gives a small, acknowledging nod but does not speak. In the car, they drive in silence for several blocks. The mother glances at her daughter again, who leans her head against the window. Finally, the mother breaks the quiet. "Thank you for letting me come today." The daughter turns to her, her eyes meeting the mother's in the rearview mirror. There is a softness in her gaze as she replies, "Thank you for coming." Her voice is low but sincere. The mother nods, feeling relief and a pang of sorrow for all the moments she has missed. As they approach home, they pass a convenience store where a group of teenagers hang out. The mother notices them eyeing the daughter with curiosity and, in some cases, disdain. She grips the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles whitening. Though the daughter does not react outwardly, the mother can sense the tension in her shoulders. She reminds herself to drive calmly, to create a safe space once they get back to their home. When they finally arrive, the daughter opens the car door and pauses, looking back at her mother. "I know you're trying, Mom," she says quietly, "but sometimes it's hard to believe things will actually change." The mother steps around and stands beside her, placing a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "I know, sweetie," the mother whispers, "but I'm here and I'm listening. And I will keep listening." The daughter allows herself to draw closer, and together they walk toward the front door side by side. In that simple act, returning home to a familiar hallway and the safe hush of their house, they both find a moment of solace. In the mother's mind, a thought takes root. Presence and attention are only the beginning, but they are vital steps toward genuine understanding and change. When they return home from the assembly, the mother carries her laptop to the living room, where a soft rug and a low coffee table await. The afternoon light filters through the curtains, casting a gentle glow on the furniture. She sits on the couch, places the laptop on her lap, and reopens the essay draft. As she scrolls, she notices places where she added her own reflections, lines describing how she felt proud when she first learned about civil rights history, hopes for allyship, and promises to advocate. Then she sees her daughter's comments in the margins, highlighted in a different font. Suggestions to delete phrases that sound performative, to add moments when she felt her voice was silenced, and to revise sentences to reflect her tone. Confident, sometimes guarded, but always determined. The mother exhales, understanding that this essay must belong to her daughter, not to her. She moves her fingers to the trackpad, clicks to accept a change, and watches as her own words disappear, replaced by her daughter's raw, authentic voice. She reads a sentence that begins, "I remember walking into a classroom where everyone assumed I was there to observe, not to lead." The phrasing is concise, powerful, and entirely hers. The mother feels a pinch of hurt. Her good intentions were not enough, and her daughter's lived reality needed to shine through. But as she scrolls further, she feels a swell of pride. Her daughter's words carry resilience, humor, and hope, and the essay's energy shifts from a second-hand description to an honest declaration of who she is and what she has overcome. After making small formatting adjustments, ensuring paragraph breaks fall at the right emotional beats, the mother sets the laptop down. The daughter appears in the doorway, holding 2 mugs of steaming tea. She carefully places one mug beside her mother on the coffee table and takes a seat on the opposite end of the couch. They sit in silence for a moment, listening to the soft hiss of the kettle's final bubble. The mother breaks the quiet. "It feels like your words are leading this now," she says, voice gentle. The daughter nods, her eyes softening. "That's how it should be," she replies. The mother lifts her mug and takes a sip of tea, savoring the warmth. She watches her daughter lean forward to read the essay on the screen. As the daughter reads, the mother studies her face, seeing the way her brow furrows in concentration, how her lips curve into a small smile when she reads a line that captures her experience perfectly. After a few minutes, the daughter closes the laptop, her posture more relaxed than it has been in days. She meets her mother's gaze and says quietly, This is me." Her voice carries relief and trust. The mother's heart swells, and she lifts her own mug in a silent toast. "To you." In the following minutes, they talk about final touches, ensuring that the conclusion ties together the grandmother's history, the daughter's journey, and the mother's promise of support. They add a line where the daughter reflects on standing in front of her grandmother's portrait, feeling the weight of history and the promise of her own future. Then they remove anything that feels redundant or overly sentimental. The mother resists the urge to correct grammar or suggest more elaborate vocabulary. Instead, she trusts that her daughter's simpler, more grounded phrasing is exactly what admissions officers need to hear. As dusk settles outside, they save the final version. The mother closes the laptop and turns to her daughter, offering a soft smile. The daughter hugs her, resting her head on her mother's shoulder. For the first time in this process, they both feel a sense of completion. The essay is not just a means to an end. It is a testament to their shared journey, the mother's willingness to learn, the grandmother's resilience, and the daughter's unwavering determination. In that quiet, tender moment, the weight of every keystroke and every conversation feels worthwhile. The mother whispers, I'm proud of you always. And the daughter replies, thank you for listening. The click of the laptop powering down echoes softly, marking the end of one chapter and the hopeful beginning of another. One afternoon, the daughter and mother settle at the kitchen table, the warm light of late afternoon filtering through the blinds. A printed copy of the final essay lies between them, the edges slightly curled from being handled. The daughter picks up the paper with both hands, her fingers gently smoothing out a crease. She takes a slow breath before beginning to read aloud. I remember walking into a classroom where everyone assumed I was there to observe, not to lead, she reads, her voice steady but soft. As she continues, she shares a paragraph about her grandmother's history, how her grandmother attended peaceful protests, walked miles to demand equal rights, and never let anyone make her feel invisible. The daughter's tone shifts when she reads a line that describes learning to stand tall even when no one else in the room looked like her. The mother watches her daughter's face, seeing determination and vulnerability mingled with a quiet pride. With each sentence, the essay feels more alive, a reflection of everything the daughter has endured and overcome. When the daughter pauses, the mother takes a sip of her tea, allowing silence to settle between them. The mother thinks of the countless late nights spent researching, writing, and revising, always with the hope that her daughter's own words would guide the narrative. Seeing the daughter so absorbed in her own story, the mother realizes that this essay has become more than an application requirement. It is a testament to strength, resilience, and the enduring bond between generations. The daughter picks up the essay again and reads a passage about feeling judged in the cafeteria. Students whispering about her hair, as if it were more important than her ideas, and how she learned to channel that discomfort into creativity, using art and writing to express her identity. The words resonate deeply, and the mother feels a lump in her throat. She recalls the moment when her daughter first showed her a sketchbook filled with self-portraits capturing different emotions: anger, sadness, hope. Those sketches now make sense in a new light, a visual manifestation of the words on the page. As the daughter nears the end, she reads a final reflection. I will continue my grandmother's legacy, using my voice to shatter expectations and create space for those who come after me. The daughter's eyes well with tears, and the mother watches them spill down her daughter's cheeks. Without a word, the mother reaches across the table and gently takes her daughter's hand. The daughter looks up and meets her mother's gaze, their shared understanding flashing between them. You'd help me find my voice, even when I didn't think anyone could understand, the daughter says, her voice trembling. The mother's hand tightens around hers, and she whispers, I am so proud of you, my love. The daughter leans forward, resting her head on her mother's shoulder. The mother wraps an arm around her daughter, holding her close as they both feel the weight of every emotion: relief, gratitude, hope. In that moment, the kitchen feels like a sanctuary. The final essay, once a source of tension and uncertainty, now represents unity and strength. The mother and daughter sit together in comfortable silence, the printed words serving as a reminder of how far they have come. The mother's eyes linger on the daughter's face, seeing confidence where there was once doubt. The daughter sighs, feeling lighter, knowing that her story has been told authentically and that her mother supported her every step of the way. As the sun dips below the horizon, they pack up the essay, folding it carefully and placing it in a protective folder. Together, they walk toward the front door, their steps in sync, hearts aligned. The promise of tomorrow feels brighter, anchored by the understanding that comes from truly listening and sharing. One crisp morning, mother and daughter load into the car, the gentle hum of the engine blending with birdsong in the quiet neighborhood. They drive along familiar streets, passing a small bakery where fresh bread is laid out on wooden shelves, and the aroma of warm croissants drifts through the air. The daughter sits in the passenger seat, her backpack resting on her lap. Inside is the printed essay, carefully placed in a protective folder. The mother glances at her daughter in the rearview mirror, seeing determination and a touch of nervous excitement on her face. She offers a small, reassuring smile. As they near the post office, they park along the curb beneath a tall oak tree, its leaves rustling softly in a mild breeze. The daughter steps out first, clutching the folder close to her chest, and together they walk up the short set of concrete steps. Inside the post office, they find a quiet corner where a single mailbox awaits. The mother unfolds the essay, straightening the crease in the folder, and the daughter watches every movement. There is a sense of gravity to this moment, the culmination of weeks of honest conversations, edits, and late-night revisions. The mother gently places the essay inside an envelope, addressing it carefully in neat handwriting. Then, widening the seal with a practiced touch, she slides it into the slot and guides it in until it disappears with a soft swoosh. Outside, they linger on the steps, breathing in the fresh morning air. The daughter's eyes are glossy as she looks at her mother and says, "I feel like a weight just lifted off my shoulders." The mother nods, her own heart full. "You told your truth," she replies quietly, "and now others will hear it." The daughter leans her head against the mother's shoulder for a moment, drawing strength from their bond. They remain like that for a while, neither needing to speak, the moment speaking for them. Eventually, they walk back to the car. As they drive home, the village awakes around them. A stray cat slinks across a garden fence. A paperboy balances newspapers on his bicycle handlebars, and a florist sets out bright bouquets on a wooden table outside her shop. The daughter gazes out the window, imagining her words traveling across towns and campuses, reaching admissions officers who might connect with her experience. The mother watches her daughter's profile, thinking about how far they have come from the kitchen table where misunderstandings first surfaced to this moment of joint purpose. When they arrive home, the mother turns off the engine and silence settles between them. Finally, the daughter exhales and says, "Thank you for believing in me when I doubted myself." The mother opens the car door and reaches over to hold her daughter's hand. "Always," she whispers. They step into their front yard, where a few early flowers bloom at the edge of the porch. The daughter pauses, looking back at the mailbox across the street, as if to ensure that her words have been set free. Then she turns to her mother, determination glinting in her eyes. "No matter what happens next, I know you have my back." The mother tightens her grip on her daughter's hand and adds, "And I always will." They stand for a moment, hearts full of hope and the soft promise of new beginnings. The daughter releases a breath she didn't realize she was holding, and in that exhale, both feel a sense of closure and anticipation. The college essay, once a daunting task, is now a shared testament to their journey, one shaped by empathy, honest listening, and unwavering support. As they step through the front door into the familiar warmth of home, they carry with them a deeper understanding of each other and a quiet confidence that together, they can face whatever the future holds.